If we can get into their world, they can get into ours.
My God.
People say that far beyond what our senses can understand, there are hidden worlds waiting to be discovered. In one of these worlds, humans live side by side with huge, wild monsters. In the middle of a vast desert stands a mysterious tower, always surrounded by dark clouds and flashing lightning. A sand ship, commanded by the admiral, is sailing toward this strange tower. But their journey is suddenly cut short when a massive dune monster called Diablos rises from the sand and attacks. It slams its huge body into the ship, trying to flip it over. The admiral quickly takes control of the wheel, fighting to steer the vessel away from danger. The crew manages to escape the attack, but in the chaos, tragedy strikes. While trying to save the handler from falling, the hunter slips instead and drops into the desert, left behind as the ship moves on. Back on Earth, Captain Natalie Artemis and her team, Lincoln, Marshall, Dash, Steeler, and Axe, are searching the desert for a missing group of soldiers. All they have is an SOS recording and tire tracks that stop suddenly, as if the vehicle vanished into thin air. They also find strange stone markers covered in symbols none of them can read. Suddenly, a violent dark storm appears, rushing toward them at incredible speed. The team jumps into their vehicles, trying to escape. Lightning strikes the stone markers, making the symbols glow brightly. But no matter how fast they drive, the storm is faster. It overtakes them, swallowing their vehicles and pulling them into a portal. The cars roll and crash as the team is tossed around inside. When they finally crawl out, they see the storm pulling back and floating over a mountain filled with unfamiliar structures that aren't on any map. They now stand in a desert full of massive sand dunes, even though the real dunes should be many kilometers away. All their electronics are dead, even their compass, so they decide to navigate by the sun. But before they leave, Axe notices something shocking: the missing soldiers' vehicles. The bodies they find nearby are burned so badly that no flamethrower could have done it. Strange glass-like pieces lie around, signs that something extremely hot melted the sand. Empty bullet shells show the soldiers fought back. Yet whatever attacked them left no tracks at all. Worried, the team moves on, still unaware that the hunter is watching them from afar through a spyglass. They stop once more when they find something unbelievable: a giant skeleton, even larger than a dinosaur. Using this moment, Hunter fires an arrow toward them. The soldiers immediately shoot back until Artemis picks up the arrow and sees chalk on the tip. It's not an attack, it's a warning. At that point in their journey, Diablo bursts out from beneath the sand and charges after the team as they race away in their vehicles. No matter what weapons they use, nothing harms the creature. It quickly gets close enough to slam into one of the cars, flipping it several times and killing Axe. Steeler escapes just before the car is crushed and jumps onto the jeep with the others. But their escape is short-lived. Diablo hits their vehicle too, knocking it over and piercing Steeler with its tusk. Before dying, Steeler throws a couple of grenades at the beast. They don't injure it, but they give the squad enough of a distraction to hide among rocky cliffs. Hunter fires a smoke arrow to slow Diablo down, and the group squeezes into a cave with an entrance too narrow for the monster. Diablo gives up and leaves. Dash begins to panic, but Artemis quickly takes charge, reassuring everyone that they will survive if they think and act like soldiers. Before she can finish, a spider-like creature called Nerskyla suddenly grabs her. It stings her with paralyzing venom and drops her to the ground before retreating when the soldiers shoot at it. Marshall and Lincoln try CPR, but nothing works. Dash urges them to move, as more Nerskylas crawl out now that night has fallen. Believing Artemis is dead, Lincoln, Marshall, and Dash retreat while firing at the creatures. Hunter helps from above with explosive arrows but is forced to escape when one of the monsters climbs toward him. Dash trips during the escape, slowing the group down. A Nerskyla uses the chance to strike from above and drags Marshall away. Meanwhile, Hunter retreats into his hidden cave. Artemis eventually wakes up, dizzy and confused. She hears her teammates screaming outside, but a Nerskyla soon finds her and knocks her out again. When Artemis wakes again, she is trapped inside a cocoon in the monster's nest. Thankfully, the webbing is thin enough for her to tear open with her hands. Freeing herself, she sees bones scattered everywhere and more cocoons containing the bodies of Dash and Marshall. Fighting the pain and dizziness, she searches their fallen gear and finds 2 flares, an oxygen canister, and several bullets. Using a flare for light and protection, she walks through a tunnel made of thick webbing. She is startled when she finds Lincoln, who cannot feel his arm and is struggling to breathe. Artemis helps him move toward an exit, unaware that the creatures are following. When her flare burns out, she quickly lights the second one, but a Nerskyla appears in front of them. She keeps it away with the flame. Suddenly, Lincoln feels worse pain and tears open his shirt, discovering that eggs are hatching inside his wound. A Nerskyla grabs him and carries him off. When it tries to take Artemis too, she ignites it using the flare and the oxygen canister, setting the entire nest on fire. She climbs toward an exit, but another Nerskyla grabs her leg. She frees herself by throwing the bullets into the flames, causing small explosions. By the time she crawls out of the cave, morning has arrived, and the sunlight forces the Nursillas to retreat. Shaken by the feeling of insects crawling on her, she cuts open a bullet, pours the gunpowder on the bite on her ankle, and creates a spark with 2 rocks to burn the wound closed. Afterward, she climbs a nearby hill to survey the area, only to see endless desert in every direction, and the storm that brought her here fading far away on the horizon. Artemis realizes this might be her only chance to return home, but before she moves forward, she needs to test something. She throws a rock into the sand, which makes Diablos burst out with a furious roar. When the monster doesn't see her, it quickly disappears again. Artemis continues exploring the rocky area, unaware that Hunter is secretly following her. She discovers a shipwreck and hopes it might contain water, but the barrels are filled only with sand. When she steps inside the wreck, Hunter suddenly grabs her from behind, and she reacts instantly, starting a hand-to-hand fight. Both fighters are highly skilled and keep pushing each other to the limit. Artemis manages to stab Hunter in the shoulder using his own knife, but even with the injury, he overpowers her and wins the fight. He ties her hands and forces her to move quickly toward his cave before night falls, because the spiders will come out again. Artemis pretends to stumble and secretly picks up a piece of glass before he lifts her and carries her away. Inside the cave, Hunter drinks water using a tool he created and eats moss from the rocks, but he does not share anything with Artemis. When she tries to speak, he tells her to stay quiet because Nursillas are nearby, trying to dig in. Hunter treats the wound on his chest with a special salve and prays to 2 small figurines he carries, not knowing that Artemis is only pretending to sleep while she slowly cuts the ropes with the glass shard. The next morning, Hunter steps outside to check the storm and the monsters. When he returns, Artemis is gone. She surprises him with an ambush. After hitting him and tying him up, she tries to drink his water, but he knocks away the container so she can't have it. Since they don't speak the same language, they can't communicate. Artemis destroys his little altar out of frustration, which makes Hunter furious. He tackles her, and the fight continues until both of them roll out of the cave. The uncontrolled rolling sends Hunter into a deep hole that leads to a Nursilla nest, but Artemis grabs him just in time and pulls him back. She cuts the ropes tying him, showing she doesn't want to hurt him. To prove she means peace, she offers him chocolate. He tries it and loves it. He then shares his water skin with her, and the 2 of them move toward the rocky hillside. There, they finally manage to understand each other a little. Both want to reach the storm again, but Diablos blocks the way. Artemis suggests returning to her military vehicles to get their guns, but Hunter refuses. Guns do not work on monsters. Instead, he takes her to the entrance of the Nursilla nest and explains his idea. If they kill a spider and take its poison, they can use it against Diablos. Artemis agrees, calling it using a monster to kill another monster, and reluctantly accepts being the bait. As the sun sets, she stands in the open area and sings an army song to attract a Nurskyla. The plan works. When the spider appears, she runs straight into the trap. The Nurskyla steps on a rope and gets caught, giving Hunter the chance to jump down with his giant sword and slice its head open. They cut off its stinger and hurry back to the cave before more spiders arrive. After sharing a brief light-hearted moment, Hunter explains that the figurines represent his family, who have passed away. The next day, they prepare for their attack. They wrap the poison inside the stinger around an arrow, set up a trap at the shipwreck, and begin training. Artemis receives armor and 2 weapons, a grappling hook-like tool and a pair of dual blades that can ignite when pressed together. When the time comes, everything starts well. They launch a makeshift catapult that sends a keg flying into the dunes. It lands perfectly, and Diablos rises from the sand at a safe distance. Artemis and Hunter sprint toward her military vehicles with Diablos chasing them, but they are forced to stop when the monster suddenly disappears beneath the sand. As the danger grows, Hunter chooses to distract the monster so Artemis can recover her weapons. But while running, he drops the small pouch holding his family figurines. When he turns back to get it, the Diablos bursts out of the ground and knocks him aside. Hunter quickly reacts and fires a venom-tipped arrow into its eye. The attack only makes Diablos angrier, and it charges at him even faster, until Artemis steps in and pulls its attention away by firing the car's machine gun. The venom begins to weaken Diablos, but the bullet still can't pierce its tough hide. It slams into the car where Artemis hides, flipping it over. She escapes just in time, but the monster chases her. Hunter uses this brief moment to leap onto Diablos' head and stab it with his sword. Unfortunately, the blade doesn't go deep enough. Diablos thrashes wildly, throwing Hunter into the second car. There is still one chance to end the fight. Artemis shoots her hook into Diablos' head, and when the creature moves, it lifts her into the air. She lands on its back, pushes the sword deeper, and finishes what Hunter started. Diablos finally collapses, dead at last. With Hunter unconscious, Artemis gathers whatever supplies she can find from the broken cars. She cuts a piece of the monster's hard shell to build a rough stretcher, then drags Hunter across the desert. Hours pass. Strong winds rise again, putting them both at risk. Artemis sets up a small tent and uses the army medical kit to keep Hunter alive. By the time the sandstorm settles, they are buried under a dune, but the tent protects them, and they crawl out safely. After another long walk, they arrive at an oasis and decide to rest. The oasis is filled with turtle-like creatures called apsaros. Hunter explains they are peaceful plant eaters, so there is nothing to fear. But when Artemis kneels to drink water, a cephalos bursts out to attack her. Hunter swiftly kills it and later cooks it for their meal. Night falls, and suddenly the peaceful oasis bursts into flames. A huge monster, the fire-breathing Rathalos, attacks. Terrified apsaros stampede through the area. Hunter manages to slip away, but Artemis falls into their path. Just when she believes she will be crushed, a figure appears before her, the Admiral, cutting through the chaos with a flaming sword. Inspired, Artemis lights her dual blades and fights beside him. Meanwhile, Hunter reaches a cliff edge and is nearly pushed off, but Handler appears from above, grabs him, and lifts him to safety. When the apsaros finally pass, Artemis thanks the Admiral. He surprises her by speaking English, and then suddenly knocks her unconscious. She wakes inside a cage aboard a ship, watched by the Admiral's crew. Hunter visits her, guilty but powerless to help. After he leaves, Artemis notices a small hatch under the cage floor. She breaks the lock using a bench, opens the hatch, and slips into the ship's kitchen. As she grabs a knife, she is startled by the Palico, the Admiral's cat-like chef, who refuses to let her take anything. Hunter arrives moments later with good news: she has been freed. He brings her to the Admiral, who apologizes and unlocks her chains. He explains his fear. He worries about what Artemis' world could do to theirs. She is not the first human to cross over, and he learned her language from earlier visitors. The Sky Tower, an ancient structure atop the storm-covered mountain, is the reason people can travel between worlds. The tower once belonged to a powerful ancient civilization whose technology eventually destroyed them. The Admiral thinks Earth may also be involved somehow. Now, they are heading there to learn the truth, but Rathalos blocks their path. He offers Artemis a deal: help them defeat Rathalos, and they will help her return home. She agrees without hesitation. At dawn, the group begins their climb. After a long and difficult journey, they reach the mountain peak. There stands the Sky Tower, glowing above flowing lava. The heat powers the ancient structure, allowing it to control the storm and open a gateway to Artemis' world, a gateway that looks unstable and dangerous. Just as the group begins moving toward the tower, they spot broken glass on the ground, clear proof that Rathalos is nearby. The Admiral warns them that the Wyvern is weak only for a moment before it unleashes a burst of fire. The team quickly splits up and prepares for battle. Rathalos scorches several crew members before landing between the group and the tower. The Admiral charges first, with Artemis and Hunter close behind him. Their weapons burn with flames, the only way to actually harm the creature. Other crew members try to help, but Rathalos knocks them aside. Meanwhile, the tower begins to glow, lighting up the same special symbols Artemis had seen in her own world. Even though they managed to strike the monster, their attacks still aren't strong enough to bring it down. Rathalos then targets Artemis, chasing her with fire until she has no choice but to leap off a cliff, falling straight into a portal that sends her back home. Soldiers soon arrive, saying they've been searching for her team. They place her on a stretcher and load her onto their plane, but the safety doesn't last long. The strange storm appears again, and Rathalos bursts into her world. It destroys the plane, sending it crashing down, and then turns its fury on the nearby vehicles. Bullets do nothing to stop it, and the soldiers are killed either by its flames or in its jaws. Artemis survives the crash and quickly forms a plan. She grabs 2 flares from the wreckage, fires her grappling hook into Rathalos' wing, and stabs it as she's pulled closer. The monster roars in rage and prepares to breathe fire at her. Using that moment, Artemis lights a flare, burning her own hand, and throws it into Rathalos' open mouth, scorching it from within. But even this doesn't kill the beast. It rises again to strike, until Hunter appears and fires explosive arrows. One arrow slips into the wound made by the flare, delivering the final blow. Rathalos finally falls. The Admiral arrives, explaining they followed her because they couldn't let the monsters destroy her world. The Sky Tower has opened another portal, and a creature named Gorm Magala stands on top of it. Artemis chooses to return with them, determined to destroy the tower and end the cycle forever. Together, she, Hunter, and the Admiral push the new monster back into its world, with the Chef Palico joining the fight. High above them, a cloaked figure secretly watches from the top of the tower. If you enjoyed this Monster Hunter 2020 movie's full recap, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and thanks for watching.